Hi, Novella Petronella. Hope everyone's doing well. I think that being an early investor, like so many of us are, can be sometimes exasperating. It can be like watching a sports event or a game where simultaneously you can feel dejected and elated at the same time because you're seeing your team score on the one hand, like a lot, but for some reason the overall score and the points keep dropping, and then your wise ass friends call you up and say things like, well, if things are going so great with your team, then why does the points keep going down? Haha. And then you say, well, because it's a visionaries game where you have to be able to see the bigger picture. And I guess your visionary skills are deficient, my friend. And then you hang up on them, and then you block them, and then you change your number, and you move out of the state, like I just did. Because I'm in Texas, where the people are exceptionally nice, and they all have a smile on their face like they have some kind of big secret. Well, yesterday, XRP might have dipped again, but luckily, the Lambda coin, whatever that is, was up almost 25% when no other coins really were. I do think it's important to note that we don't always see things, even though they're there. Sometimes we really have to look behind the initial outward appearance of something. We don't necessarily see the price going past 35 cents, not in a while, but it doesn't mean that it won't. And even if the price doesn't move past that this entire year, where are you going? Do you have somewhere else to be? Because I don't. I think it's kind of exciting not really knowing your exact financial future, because when things finally do reflect the true value, you're probably going to need all that patience that you've been amassing for so long to deal with your jerk-faced friends who now want to know how to buy this suddenly sacred cow. That's right. They will most definitely fall into the rightful place on the technology adoption curve chart, just like you thought. Speaking of things you don't see, but they're in there somewhere, a few days ago, a couple people in my Discord group posted this video about Ripple. The interesting thing about this video, well, a couple of things. One, it's from 2011, and it was put out by Nitty G. So because it's from 2011, consequently, the comments are pretty awesome and worth looking at. And secondly, I definitely thought the narrator sounded strangely familiar. To me, he sounds exactly like the YouTuber XRP Anonymous. There's actually 2 XRP Anonymous channels, but this one has more videos, more content, and pretty timely suggestions about XRP. And he scolds his audience, which I think we need at least one of those in the community. So he definitely does that. I do want to stress, I have no desire to know exactly who this person is, and I think it would be wise to leave his anonymity intact. But I would strongly suggest listening to this first video, which I'll link in the description, and then comparing it to these videos. And you tell me if you don't think they sound like the exact same person. Not saying it is, but I'm saying the evidence is compelling. He put videos out, I think, starting a few months ago, and I've always felt that he either maybe worked at Ripple or was closely tied to them in some way due to the nature of his content. He speaks with a large amount of authority on a few things regarding XRP. For one, he also refers to Brad Garlinghouse as Brad, unlike all the other XRP geeks who just call him Brad Garlinghouse. And in this 2011 video, where this person, I don't know if it's him, it sounds like him, where this person is, he says he's reading from a script. He says that in the comments. He says, one of the lines is, "You'll make money work for you." And then in these videos, he usually says similar lines like, "Make your money work for you instead of working for money." At the end of most of these videos, he also uses the catchphrase Ripple XRP, changing the world one drop at a time. Personally, I would never come up with a line like that. You know why? Because I don't work for Ripple. I'd just say something like, hey, would you please, for the last time, just go do your damn research and look into Ripple already? Or like, hey, I told you before, and I'm not going to tell you again, stop being stupid. Go buy some XRP now before it goes up again. I don't want to have this conversation a third time, okay? So, again, I'm not looking to get this person's name. I think that he should stay anonymous, but I am saying that I don't think it would be a bad idea to listen to these videos a bit more closely and maybe ask Bob Way if they know each other. Okay. Being that this Ripple video was dated 2011 could mean that XRP Anonymous, if it's the same person, would have been or could have been working there since that time. That's almost a decade, and is currently still speaking on Ripple and XRP with some authority. Even if he started working at the company as an admin, you could deduce that he's likely moved up by now in the last 8 years to maybe manager level at the least. Anyway, so the other night I was listening to The Leak Project. Occasionally I'll check out his videos. He doesn't really do crypto videos, so this one caught my attention. It's called Crypto Has Gone Parabolic Every Time This Event Has Happened. Anyway, The Leak Project did a live stream, and the guest was Bob Kudla. Bob Kudla I know a little bit about. From what I know of him, he's just fine. He's pretty knowledgeable on crypto. He's a trader. He has his own trading company called Trade Genius. And when he talks, he seems to know what he's talking about. He's pretty sharp. But on this particular stream, he was asked about XRP at one point, and when asked if he thought XRP could take over the currency system in the US, what did he say? Never happened. Like, that was his answer, which was red flag number one. Also, when he was asked, has XRP decoupled from Bitcoin yet? I'm just going to quote what he said. This is what he said. We don't consider it a cryptocurrency. I guess he's talking about a Trade Genius. We joke and call it the banker's coin. It's simply a digital currency that a consortium has used to be able to facilitate international transactions. And so there's no limit on the amount of XRP Ripple tokens that can be created. Number two, owners of the coins do not participate in the monetary value that those transactions have, and that's the owner of the foundation or whatever they want to call it. And the third thing is that with Chase getting in with their own digital coin, we don't see what kind of future Ripple even has. But we trade it, we don't hold it, we consider it nothing more than a short-term trading opportunity. First of all, I was like, who's we? Second of all, you're being grossly negligent if you're telling your investors who are paying you money to give them suggestions, advice, whatever. They're going to feel like they miss an opportunity at your leadership, some of them, especially if they don't do the research. And I was so irritated by his ignorant comments that I got up and left a message in the chat about it. I don't think he should be telling his investors that personally. They're liable to come back and maim him profusely when XRP does finally run up. And then I thought about it and I realized, although I'm cool with people not liking the coins I like, I don't really care. People don't agree with what I like. I seem to have a special affinity for XRP, almost like I gave birth to it myself. I think most of us are like that, where someone will say something bad about XRP and I'm like, hey, it's like automatic. Like, watch what you say about my son. I mean about XRP. I cannot, for the life of me, understand lately why so many seemingly intelligent people, most notably market analysts who, for a literal living, chart and follow crypto and follow the stock market, would say the most false things about XRP, and only XRP. I always have to ask myself why. To me, there has to be a better reason than just they're misinformed. No, they're not. They're not misinformed. If anyone knows the real reason, please enlighten me, because I genuinely am not sure. And Bob Kudla, seriously, you do seem very informed about the entire market. So this was sort of a surprise in a way, and a familiar refrain to other market analysts and traders that are pretty much mirroring exactly what you're saying. So I think one day in the not so distant future, many of you are going to have to eat your words. It's seriously like some kind of bacterial strain that they're all drinking from the same cup gets into their brains, and they all mimic each other. Banker's coin, unlimited supply, will never work, etc. And we're still in the early part of this market in many ways. So personally, I'm okay with low prices on everything. It's almost like that analogy I've heard where you're driving at night and you have the headlights on. You can't see everything up front. You can only see a few feet in front of you, but you can get a pretty good idea from paying attention to what's not being said, alongside what's being said, alongside what's happening in the news every day. Just like one of the attorneys on the Ripple panel back in December said that in a couple of years, blockchain will be powering everything. And at that time, many people will just say, oh, I don't even know how that happened. It just kind of seemed like it was always there. You know, there are always things that are creeping up on us that are kind of just getting into our social sphere that will one day be seen as just natural progressions, just like the internet. At one time, the internet was like a foreign concept, and now it's a natural part of our vernacular, right? This week it was PewDiePie moving himself onto the blockchain. That in itself is huge. That's going to cause many people to follow his path, I think, because he's got a lot of sway. He's got a lot of followers. And that one thing is going to bring a lot of light to how the blockchain can and will be utilized, I think. And it seems like all of these things are kind of happening independently of each other. But if you look closely, you'll see that they're all aligned. They're all falling into place together the way that it should be happening. One other quick note on the topic of looking at things closely. I'm just going to say it. Most of you won't believe me anyway, and I don't have enough subscribers to get killed over this, but the majority of the people that you see in the public sphere, the same people that you see now, or maybe you've grown up seeing, and that includes politicians, actors, actresses, singers, dancers, sports figures, anyone in athletics, anyone in the public eye, maybe people that you've had their pictures hanging on your wall when you were a kid. I can't say all of them because I haven't done the kind of extensive research that would require, but I can say most of them are not the gender that they're presenting to you. Doesn't really matter if people don't believe that, but one day that will also come out. Not today, but someday. The reason that I'm mentioning that is that I don't like the idea that tons of young women, young girls think that the idea of beauty that they're aspiring to is what they see on the bodies of women, the faces of women, that they see on television and in movies, when in actuality, they'll never be able to aspire to that ideal, because what they're really looking at is men who have been turned into women from a very, very young age. And so you have these young girls starving themselves literally to look like men. And then you have young boys thinking that they're looking at hot girls when really they're looking at MTFs. So what you see is not always what you're really seeing in many respects. I'll leave this topic here. I'll probably start another channel on this, but I'll just end it by saying, just like with everything, there are markers. There's many physical markers for both genders, and that's just science. So I'm done with that topic. Just like in crypto, do your own research. Don't take my word for anything. But please don't be afraid to look closely at anything. I think personally, if you look deeply enough, just like with anything else, you'll see the truth if you want to. On that note, so the other night I caught this show on YouTube called Bitcoin and Friends. I guess it's new. It's only about 20-something minutes. It was kind of cute in a way. I laughed a couple of times, but overall, I thought that maybe they missed some opportunity because it was kind of juvenile, the writing was, and it was almost like they paired up a really clever and witty writer with like a fifth grader writer, and then the fifth grader ultimately won out because maybe he was related to the producer or something. But for some reason, I watched it to the end, and I'm really glad that I did, because sort of like hidden in the last 30 seconds of the show were what I thought were the most relevant wrap-up and the most relevant words that wrapped it up. So here's what it said. This guy's talking, and he says, his name is Bitcoin, and he'll be back. Even in his infancy, he has strength. There are many things I cannot speak of. However, what I can tell you is that those standing here in this room are privileged beyond measure. You are witnessing history in the making. First came fire, then agriculture, then the Industrial Revolution, then the internet, and now the blockchain. We're laying the foundation of a new economic order. And then one of the characters says to him, "Are you saying that someday I can trade some of these little bitcoins for millions in cash?" And he replies, "What I'm trying to tell you is that when you're ready, you won't have to." Anyone think we're close to being ready?